Hello. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Attention Update. I'm Jaimee Estreller, VP of Platforms and Culture.
And I'm Hayley Grant, VP of Strategy at VaynerMedia. We are so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for taking time in your afternoon. What are we talking about?
Trends. Lots and lots of trends. I know there's a lot of stuff happening in the world, even like the TikTok stuff, but let's talk macro today. What's happening in 2025. There's a lot of things that have been happening already in 24, but let's think about what's on the fall.
Year that we've been. And so while I absolutely love reading all of the trend reports at the end of the year on LinkedIn, I collect them like a little pack rat. We really focus on like what is happening right now in the year that we live in. How is it going to affect you as marketers? Because think about how many times you've like watched or listened to trend reports and you're like, that's great, but like that's 3 years from now. I have no idea how to action on that right now. Or it's like so small that you're like, okay, by the time I, as a brand marketer, decide to act on this, it's no longer relevant. So there's this sweet spot of underpriced attention that we focus on. So myself and Jaimee have been in strategy, cultural anthropology, platform excellence, algorithm strategy, deep state for the last 2 years. And we've started a pack practice within the building at VaynerMedia, working with all of our lovely brand managers on how to actually make these brands relevant. Shout out to Kenny. By the way, the rules of the road. We're going to talk to you for an hour. We have a ton to get through. We can see the chat and we're going to shout you out. If you have questions while we're going through the trends, if there's something you want us to react to, put it in the chat. We'll bring it up. We're going to go through a lot. And at the end, we're going to try to take some of the questions from the chat. So, in terms of the cultural trends that we're going to talk about today, we call them constellations internally. You in the world know them as macro trends, but it really is looking at underpriced. What do we think is going to be relevant for you over the next 9 to 12 months as it relates to platforms and culture where you can actually activate? And the thing we always talk about is there is always a counter trend happening to current trends. What we're focused on is making sure that we are choosing things that are actually opportunistic, that are optimistic, that are actionable for brands, and really cherry picking those for what we're talking about today. We are going to go through 4 macro trends that have a ton of signals happening within it. 3 big trends and 1 bonus. Breaking it down for you guys with examples, and then doing a little bit of a 2025 bingo card.
Yeah, we're going to make our predictions. So once we're at that, making our bingo card predictions, you can make them with us too. So a little bit of an interactive play. All right. We should just like get into it.
All right, let's do it. Weekend update style. Throw that deck up. Roll that beautiful bean footage. I have to do it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is, not to get heavy, but we are having a party deficit.
Yeah, Hayley, when was the last time we hung out? June 2024.
It's sad, basically, is what's happening. What do we need?
Social rehab. Keyword on rehab.
Yes.
I think, put it into the Gen Z terms. People are having a hard time raw dogging social settings right now. People need help, help hanging out with other people. It's hard to, make friends. And there's a need for facilitation of hanging out. I think it's hard to just go into a social setting, even at work. The pandemic really, I would say, stunted people's ability to make conversation. There's no natural ability to like have water cooler conversations anymore. Even if you go on like X and, formerly known as TikTok anymore, and people are like, I'm just trying to make friends. Is anyone out there that's trying to hang out in Chicago? Is there anyone trying to hang out in New York? It's like a real sentiment that's happening right now in like certain local communities, just trying to find each other. Yeah. So when we think about like the needing of, or that craving, I think there's app fatigue.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we dug into this trend is because it started with being like, dating apps suck.
Yeah.
Meeting up with people suck. I don't know. I'm not as social as I was 4 years ago. I don't know how to have a conversation with someone at a bar. And so what we're seeing is this sort of rise in people being like, hey, can somebody facilitate these hangouts? Can somebody give us the rules of the road just so that we can be people again? And so we think this is super opportunistic for brands, not just for dating apps like Bumble, but anyone that has a retail environment, that has a store, brick and mortar.
Tell us about, like, you're from the Midwest.
I am.
Like, I think we look at the Midwest
age
cohort a lot, and like the craving or nostalgic need for like just going out and hanging out in the parking lot.
Yeah, I was gonna
just
say,
for, like, the drive and like hanging out in the car.
I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school in the early 2000s, we won't really specify, but the Taco Bell parking lot, the Walmart parking lot were the hangout. And what we're seeing on TikTok and Instagram Reels is a lot more trends that are focused on young people hanging out in the parking lots. 1, it's free. 2, it's free form. And 3, it feels a little bit subversive. And so that's one of the signals that we're going to have in this trend. Let's go ahead and get into some of the specific examples so you guys can see what we're talking about. The first one is all about facilitated hangs. So there is a company in New York called Hot and Social. They throw meetup events. Now everybody, has been on meetup.com and trying to figure out what the events are. This is an overload of facilitation. This is really about taking away the phones, putting them down, and trying to facilitate meaningful conversations where you get to know strangers.
The thing too that's interesting, I mean, the way that they position it is like they're an exclusive, social membership club, but you arrive alone. Like you arrive alone. The people that you meet are strangers, but you leave as friends. The other thing that they have is camp social. So like, if you've ever been to a summer camp, that's like your jam. And they opened up their 2025 summer camp, and you can be either a camp counselor or a camp attendee. And I think that's something that you're reliving a part of your childhood, or if you've never lived that, that's like an opportunity to like make friends. And it's an activity that is bringing people together versus like, again, raw dogging a situation to really just like meet people.
We need like a slang count on this, like how many internet words are we using?
Yeah.
And this isn't just, it's really easy to talk about very specific and niche places. And yes, this is having success. We always look for what is the scaling moment. How do you know that there is actually momentum around this that makes it worth the investment to you as a brand? Not only does it have a 40,000 person wait list, but Pinterest has predicted that 2025 is the year of the soiree. And I don't know, is the next one about the coffee shop?
Hell yes.
Yeah. So we're also seeing a huge viral trend of turning your own personal space into a third space that you wish existed, but it doesn't. And so the sort of TikTok that you see in the background is I turned my apartment into a free coffee shop for a day. This video alone had over 2 million views, but it's just one of hundreds of different examples that are here about turning it in there. You can look these up on #HomeCafe if you're curious and looking more of these, but they've been trending steadily up the numbers since 2022.
Yeah, and with the soiree too, of like the hosted hangs, we've seen the trend of like the barista style of upscaling your home and your kitchen. So there's a lot of skills that are happening there, and so if anyone's in the home space, this is your opportunity to really upgrade your wares.
Michaels, give us a call. We can help you break this down. Listen, Party City's out, so guess who gets to get in?
There's a lot of things like this is your sign to host. Like the hosting is
exactly.
We're gonna see it.
All right, I know we got a lot. The last thing we want to talk about is that this is the year of the influential personalities hanging out. The fashion brand Refi sent an entire group of folks to a tropical location, which I cannot remember, but it was an influencer trip that sparked a trend of sending actual customers to events. And so we're going to talk about predictions, but also when you think about activating talent partners coming in, what kinds of experiences can you create that are meaningful as it relates to making two people look face to face, look each other in the eye, and say something that is worth meaning. We're done like just being in the comments, even though I love that you're in the comments. Thank you, Michael, for saying that Party City still exists in Canada. I am so happy to hear that. I think it'll be like an online thing. Let's see. But in terms of timing, there's two things we're going to do for each trend. When do we think you should activate on this? And what are our predictions as marketers? So here we think, get ready because this is happening with Galentine's Day.
It's already started,
January 16th. You have 28 days to figure out how you want to do this for Valentine's Day. But even if you don't, hangout season happens in the spring and the summer. So if your brand knows that Cinco de Mayo is a really huge moment for you, this is now the time. Now is the time to start thinking about how do we sort of create some social rehab for our customers.
Yes, it's hanging out season.
Yes, it's hanging out season.
Let's hang out.
So what's on your bingo card, Jaimee?
I said Substack will open up a community-owned vinyl bar.
Ooh, I like that. Substack is
a newsletter platform.
Amazing. I love that it's going to be there. I think a dating app is going to buy a restaurant.
Nice.
Right? Big head nods that you can't see, but I think it's going to happen. Not the Bumble Cafe. It's going to be called like Sisters, and you're going to show up and you're not even going to know, but they're going to buy it.
Besties.
Your besties.
A brand will use their parking lot for something that isn't just for parking.
Yeah, branded parking lots, guys. Those lines don't have to be yellow. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I think that a major celebrity, my guess is Selena Gomez, just because she is my queen, but it could be anybody else.
Meghan Markle?
Meghan Markle will invite fans to their house to hang out. I know it's dramatic. I actually think it will happen. So, or maybe somebody in the chat can make it happen. Anyway,
cool.
Drum roll.
On to the next.
Trend two.
Okay.
So, rattle it off in 4 words.
Soda, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh, that's 3. Vice to meet you. Oh my God, this is just everything. Tell me what it's about.
Vices. So if 2024 was about self-improvement, new year, new me, 2025 is about new year, worse me. Bad habits are in. Thank you, Charlie XCX, for unleashing our brat. Mm-hmm. It's about baby bad habits, guilty pleasures, small indulgences. We're seeing the comeback of, which we're going to show you, soda, diet sodas, healthy sodas, snacks, bad bitch era, revenge era, pettiness. I think we did it in a packed up, which we do every week. In 2025, people were not doing resolutions. They were doing slightly worse in 2025. The things and bad habits that they're going to continue to do this year, because the world is kind of like, meh. Yeah. So might as well just continue being meh.
Yeah. And the one thing I was going to say is we talked a little bit about how do we want to communicate this trend to make it really clear. And there is Vice to Meet You is about, there's a little bit of connection. If you and your bestie love Diet Coke and everybody else hates it, guess what? You are bonding over Diet Coke. And there's also just like fatigue of not saying, and by the way, like I said, for every trend, there's a counter trend. Run clubs are thriving. Alcohol consumption is also going down in some spaces, but this is also about like, hey, the world's uncertain. Can anyone anywhere tell me anything at all? And if 1 cigarette a week makes you feel better, like who's to say? That's the sentiment.
Yeah, we don't condone any of this, but people are doing it. Yes. I mean, Doechie's song popping off, on TikTok as a sound. I like pills.
We can't say a lot of stuff that's in those.
It was the lyrics. They're just using that part of the song as a soundtrack to their videos.
Yeah.
So the people have spoken.
What's the first signal that we have here? Is it music or?
It is no. Well,
Okay.
let's
skip it. Let's come back to it because I want to bring on. We have Mike Boyd, who's the head of music here with us today, talking about when we look at macro trends, we don't just think about what's happening in fashion and then say that's a trend. We look at things that are happening across fashion, food, technology, finances, music, all of the different things. And so we want to look at this trend through the lens of music because it's super interesting to see how so much is happening in the space. So, Mike, come on around. Behind us.
Hello,
yes,
hello.
we all coordinated so that we all look very nice in our outfits. Okay, can you tell us, just in your experience, you worked with Charlie XCX in London. I'm looking at you because you're looking behind me, but I guess I could talk to you like this too. You worked with Charlie in London this year. Why is Brat popular? What's going on? What's on your radar when it comes to Brat culture, drug culture, and the lyrics, all those good things?
Yeah. Brat is popular because, well, first of all, her music's amazing, right?
Right. You can't do this without talent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So Brat is amazing. The production's amazing. One of the songs in particular, 365, I know she was talking about, I believe it's that one, yeah. She was talking about how she takes you through the club, through the warehouse. It's like, oh, this part of the song, I'm in the bathroom. This part, I went to this floor. The next part, I went to that floor. And these are the sounds. And join me on my journey.
Mm-hmm.
But like you were mentioning, trends and counter trends. A lot of people love Taylor Swift. Other people like Charlie XCX. Some people like both. But if everyone's going Swiftie,
girlhood is a spectrum.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Chapel Roan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there you go, man.
Do you feel like it's going to, spill over, right? The vices. Do you think that Brat Summer is going to happen again in 2025?
No.
Oh, that was on my bingo card. Damn.
Oh. Well, Brat Summer. Come on.
I think it's going to come back.
We just think it's going to be orange this
summer.
Frank Ocean Summer.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, no, because there could never be another Brat Summer.
I think it's actually part of the cultural zeitgeist, and it's going to be evergreen. That whoever lived Brat Summer will always bring back Brat Summer. But that's just.
I'll say I've always had a Brat Summer.
Ooh.
But that's why I'm Charlie fan. You know what I mean? It's a little bit nostalgia. Like I'm older. I'm not an 18-year-old, and Charlie's been around.
Yeah.
And then I was doing research, believe it or not, Diet Coke, low calories, going with your health stuff, but also nostalgia.
Yeah.
Ice Spice, her album's nostalgia, like the cover, Y2K. Layla, musician y'all should check out. Her dad is Mos Def. She doesn't really talk about it like that. She's talented on her own, but a lot of her style is nostalgia.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, influence, the music videos. So, I'm in my 30s. I still listen to music. I'm on TikTok. You know what I mean? It's not just the kids. It's not just the kids.
Yeah.
We're here.
It's not just
Hello,
the
I'm still here.
Yeah.
So,
parents listen to music too, guys.
It's like giving an outlet to your consumers that have to be buttoned up all the time.
Yeah.
How can you help people let their hair down a little bit and feel a little naughty because it makes them feel cool? But I think that's also a reason why Doechii has had such an explosive year. Do you want to talk about Doechii a little bit?
Yeah, her authentic self. She's been around Vayner since the beginning. We've all been rooting for her. She took a long route. Her team told me years ago, we want to take the long route. We want to build her slow. We want to, make her a thing, not right away out of nowhere. Where did she come from? And hey, they did it. Congratulations. You go around this office, VaynerMedia, we're a lot of cool people, cool kids, a lot of young people working here. I'm the oldest person working here. And all the kids are like, hey, Mike Boyd, Doechii, why don't you get her in the office? Why don't we put her in a campaign? And I'm like, I'm saying the same thing. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're too early.
I think too here, you might be in a position where you are up against your brand your brand integrity, your message of positivity. And a lot of brands have very aspirational messages, and I think that's amazing. And at the same time, you might disqualify artists like a Charlie XCX or a Doechii, or a Doja Cat because of the vices that they're talking about in their songs. But at the same time, you have to be interested in what your consumers are interested in. And so I do think if I were to, urge folks who are looking to work with new talent, don't disqualify an artist because they are not saying the same things that maybe your brand manifesto is saying. And as long as you are in a space where you can reasonably separate the lyrics from brand safety, which consumers compartmentalize, they understand the difference between the two of them.
They're smart.
Get a little brave. So if you know that this is something that has equity that is worth the investment, it may give you as a marketer a bit more bravery to invest in artists like Doechii and Charlie and Layla and folks that you mentioned.
Yeah, I know where you're going when you said Brad Summer, and you are correct in every way that you meant it. I'm saying no because that was such a moment for Charlie and a moment for me. I mean, I hope it happens again, but you know how that goes.
Will you pin Dan's comment? Because I think it's amazing, and it's the perfect example of what we're saying. I think marketers lean on those smarts, the street smarts, and the savvy this year. Sorry, continue.
Oh, well, the other thing I needed to say was all these artists you mentioned are being themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's like no one's perfect. If they love your brand, if Charlie XCX is obsessed with your brand and you want to show that organic, real moment where she's like in a conference room and she said, hey, even if y'all don't want to work with me, I want to find a way to do it. Like, that's real.
Yeah.
These are your consumers. And they're being themselves,
Yeah.
I love Taylor Swift, one of the best.
Yeah, I think.
But not everyone's going to sell a book in Target.
Exactly.
I think what you said is no one's perfect, and this is a version of that. I know we keep saying marketer imperfection. We've heard that in briefs before. What does imperfection look like? And I think this is a celebration of it, or a manifestation in this moment in time of we all have vices. We have small bad habits. We don't want to be shamed for them. Yeah. I also don't want to hide in a corner anymore of drinking my diet soda.
Exactly. And I mean, we've got some leaders out there who are letting people make some bold choices. And that's all I'm going to say.
Holy heck, you went there.
I did. Mike, thank you for the music POV.
And then give us more though, if you have them.
Yeah, you can shout it out. Stay in the room.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I wish I could be here all day.
Yeah.
Hello.
By the way, if you're interested in working with artists this year, up and coming artists, Mike Boyd oversees all of our relationships there, and some of the ones we mentioned. So hit him up. Mike Boyd, VaynerMedia. All right, Jaimee, hit me with some signals. Okay. I need my vices.
Soda.
I need my vices.
Okay, yes. If you know, or if you don't know, Soda did make a comeback in 2024. And the past, I would say 2 years as well. It was the first time that soda grew as a category. You can all attribute it to dirty soda. Shout out to Utah. A year ago, it was in decline for 2 decades. And I would say for every trend, there's a counter trend, right? This is in response to sober curiosity, as well as some folks aren't necessarily drinking anymore. They are exploring different beverages. If soda is their vice now, they are exploring different cocktails and makings of it. So Dua Lipa with her concoction with her Diet Coke. Was that Dua Lipa? Yes. Yeah. Diet Coke. And then with that, even this past summer, if you didn't know, the Holy Trinity, the meal of the summer for the girly girls, a Diet Cola, a Caesar salad, and fries.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say a cigarette, and I was getting really excited.
Well, yeah, that was on the side. It was on the table,
yes.
Actually. Yeah.
Oh, like a little cigarette on the side?
Yeah.
All right. So, should we talk about time?
Well, this one.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Zen.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Zen, codified cool. So in every generation, there has been a vice that, again, not sponsored by, but this is a point in culture that we need to say that is happening, right? Cigarettes, the whole like Juul, and right now Zen pouches. So the starter pack memes that are happening on social that like you're a Gen Z, I'm just gonna say this, bro, with your Zen pack, that's your everyday carry, your Zen, your phone, your wallet. And right now, with the wildfires in California, the number one requested thing by firefighters right now are Zen. And they are actually requesting that. And it's kind of wild that like this is being
embraced.
Yeah. And they're not afraid to say it.
And it's like out there on the table.
It's on the table.
Keeping it in their back pocket like the chaw these days.
And it's being like, it's part of their photo aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's part of their thing.
Zen is aesthetic, guys. So if you're like, what's cool? I don't know. Zen on a table. All right, let's talk about Jimmy John's. They did a great job last year leaning into Vice to Meet You. If you don't know, Jimmy John's came out with a dime bag. It was a limited time offer meal package called the dime bag, leaning into all of the gardening memes, the gardening lifestyle. If you know, you know. Lots of words to use for a specific community online. And we saw an incredible result with this. It was back-to-back viral moments. We had over 11 million organic views talking about the afternoon Zahit. Jimmy John's is indeed cool like that, or chill like that in terms of this. And we sold out of all of the merch the morning of its launch, which was all the different like sort of cannabis themes. Aesthetics, had like little sandwich pins and things like that. So even and Jimmy John's has been, you know, it's a multi-generational brand. And yes, like it's part of your college haunt. Like when you go back to school or you I went to school in West Virginia, and every time I go back, I go to Jimmy John's. But it really works for brands. So you do have to figure out if this is part, again, back to consumer centricity. Are you targeting Gen Z? Are you looking for people who have a distinctive point of view in the world? Do you stand for individuality? Do you stand for nonconformity? If any of these words are standing out to you, Vices is a good idea for you to play with. We do think that, again, along with the theme of Jimmy John's 420, getting into spring and summer, this is the sort of the window where Vices are still going to be relevant. Jaimee, what's on your bingo card?
Okay, a restaurant creates a secret menu of people's vices, so it's a vice menu.
Ooh.
But the only way that you can order it is through Signal.
So if I was Zen, I would be like,
Signal.
A Signal.
Like the app.
Oh, Signal the app.
Yeah, not
Man, there's
Signal.
so many interpretations. Okay. I'm going to say that Call Her Daddy is going to collaborate with the condom brand Durex and go on tour.
Google. Galaxy Gas.
What is Galaxy Gas?
Dude, no one should do it. But
no one should do it.
We'll give a talk at South by Southwest.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Please look it up.
Don't
Google
do it.
Galaxy Gas. Imagine them at South by. That is elite. Okay. Now,
Okay.
Mike Boyd, you mentioned nostalgia. Jaimee, what is nostalgia's cousin?
Archival revival.
That is right. That's the third term we're going to talk about. Okay, here's the thing. Got it. Whenever it comes to archival revival, you're going to think it's nostalgia in a different shirt. And it's not. So what is it? I will tell you what it is. So we're thinking about history. We're thinking about quality. Think about how many fast fashion brands got absolutely slaughtered on the internet last year, right? And then think about how we want to present ourselves to the world. Old money was a huge trend last year. Like Mike was saying, Layla, who has like a ton of Y2K references in her new album. People are really sort of embracing a lot of like choose your own decade adventure on elements and aesthetics to have like a fresh point of view. And that's the difference between nostalgia and this archival revival.
There's a fresh perspective on it.
This is about the curation. This is about the point of view in the world. This is about how do I reference something from the past to make a brand new point of view in 2025. And that's what's going on.
And I think too, because of technology, there is an intergenerational play that both the OGs who've experienced it can also experience it in a new way. It's not just for the newbies, our generation, or whoever's experiencing it right now.
Yes. Everybody wants to play in that like luxury can't be bought. It is a choice that you are making. You can signal to others that you're cool. And also we're just tech fatigued. So that is a part of it. Like one of the things that we're going to talk about is two things that really started to put this on our radar was one, that Gen Z was buying more old model cars, mainly because they're the ones that are affordable. But they call them analog cars because it's got a CD player and it's got the tape deck. And like, that's the coolest thing right now. And then do you know what the number one Gen Z gift this Christmas was?
Yes, because I'm too online.
Tell us.
A digital camera. But the point and shoot, throwback to millennials, college time, when we had to upload our photos to our laptop and then onto Facebook albums.
Yes, absolutely. And to Patrick's comment in there where he said, let's bring back the flip phone. Guess what? It is back. Nokia actually has like it's almost like a artist series of flip phones that are coming out. They do different designs and then they have these like small batch releases of flip phones that are coming out. But I want to talk about some examples across a couple of different things because we might just think about this as like offline life or like analog life, and that's not really what's going on. Revival being keyword, right? You're bringing it back to have a new point of view.
I think some like real life examples. So like if you think about music, because I think we're going to go into fashion and entertainment, right? Right now in music, Nueva Yol, if you've seen it on TikTok, just they're just like showing their parents and their grandparents the song. They're like, oh, they don't know that it's Bad Bunny. And then at the moment that the beat drops, they're like, oh, this is new. And they're like just dancing and breaking out. It is just such joy, like just to see them both dancing at the same time. Yeah. And that is like an example in music of sampling. And even like with Squabble Up, Kendrick Lamar, that sample that happened, like all the Gen Xers were like, whoa, that's like a fresh take on it.
That is legit because you're honoring the thing that came out, but then you're doing it in a new way.
Yeah, it's the honoring of it. It's not like.
Yes. Definitely check out the Bad Bunny example. This is going to go out. You will have access to all of this. Let's show the fashion example quickly. I think this is really good. The rise of the runway reference as a red carpet lover and all of the social coverage myself. This has just been like a smorgasbord of delight of last year's award season, this year's award season, but we're seeing so many curated throwback references on the red carpet. We've got, Zendaya just in the robot costume on the Dune premiere. Terry Mugler on the gynoid suit. You've got sort of Ari wearing the 1966 Givenchy, where I think that the internet is saying she is in her action and her fashion choices trying to audition for the role of Audrey Hepburn, but at the same time it comes out with a totally fresh feel of Ari going from this sort of like starling pop culture icon in music to being taken more seriously as the next generation of what serious actors can be in Hollywood. It's no longer like the Meryl Streep or the Julia route. It's also like Ari having a ton of dimension and like living her own life, being messy, but then showing up on the red carpet, totally classic, right? That's the revival. I am reviving this 1966 while in my rest of my life, I'm saying something different. And you've also got Kylie Jenner wearing Liz Hurley's 99 Versace dress at the Golden Globes. Iconic, but at the same time, what she's saying is, Elizabeth Hurley was the vixen of her era. She showed up untouchable, and that's what Kylie is doing to position herself this year. She is the untouchable beauty that doesn't really care what anyone else thinks.
It's also borrowing like the equity equity legacy of that person.
Yes, exactly.
From that time period.
So if you're like, Sam's Club and watching this and you're like, that's cool, but like, I'm not on a red carpet. If you think about, let's just say like Members Mark is trying to decide what the next track pant of the year is, which if you haven't tried Sam's Club track pants, please do. They are absolutely top tier. I'm not even exaggerating, but you would look back into the archives.
Yeah, go into the archive.
That's where it is. Should we talk about movies?
Oh, yes.
The theatrical re-release. I don't know about you, but I was very excited to go watch Interstellar
in
the movie theaters. Yes, I did.
In IMAX?
As God intended.
And Nolan intended.
As Nolan intended. Really incredible. What we were seeing are cult classics really sort of sprinting back to the box office of these cult classics. So you see some of the ones on the screen like Coraline, Interstellar. What did Bob do? Lord of the Rings. What's the last one?
I don't know.
Something else. If you get it in the chat, you get a prize.
Cisco and Ebert.
2 thumbs up. But I also think if we want to talk about emergent platforms that have become incredibly valuable to Gen Z.
Letterboxd.
If you haven't been on Letterboxd, please go on today. It's incredible. It's people's reviews of movies that you can see publicly. Somebody unearthed Charlie XCX's Letterboxd account and everybody needed to verify, and it was like the moment of the year. But I really think that Letterboxd has something to do with these cult classics coming back, the reason that we are going back into the movie theaters, things like that.
I think with the Interstellar 2 re-releases is that it is old content.
Yeah.
It's not new, and they're making money off of it. With Interstellar, it's sold out, right? And the IMAX re-releases. Look at when you look at collectibles and that collectibles market. Look at the resale value of something, right? A ticket for Interstellar for a showing went up for $280 just to see it. Like someone paid that for a movie that you could see on Netflix in your own living room. So we are seeing cult classics in this whole generation that didn't see movies that was intended to be seen in theaters. So they are going back to the movie theater. And there's also this a drive for like, oh, what's the etiquette of a movie theater and how do I show up there?
Don't Feed Wolf said people flew across the country to watch these. Also, when is the last time your brand thought about buying a spot during the movie trailers?
Yeah,
like
people are going there.
We work at a largely social media company, but we day trade attention, and we're constantly thinking about underpriced channels. And we might think in July during blockbuster season that you having 15 seconds during trailers is the move for you, right? There's many ways you might be thinking like, okay, how do I do this? What does this mean for me? One, I don't know if we have it as a signal, is that the archivist, the brand archivist, has really been a strong force on LinkedIn this year. If you guys look up McDonald's brand archivist has gone viral multiple times on LinkedIn this year just by going back. I think thank you Grimace's birthday party for starting this whole thing out, right? Like every millennial loved Grimace's birthday party. I loved it because I had a 5th birthday party at McDonald's that was Grimace and the Hamburglar themed. But he's gone into the archives. He's showing all the early designs. He's showing the designs of McDonald's from the 1970s. And people are really finding a lot of creative inspiration in this. I think Coach is one that we could probably show quickly that's sort of showing how a brand is exploring archival revival. In Singapore, the first Coach vintage flagship store, it's a multi-level. If you are in Singapore, please go. It is the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen. It has Coach, then it goes Coach Reloved, which is the vintage store, and then on the 3rd floor is Coachtopia, which is where they take all of their excess merchandise and like reimagine it into new items, which is really cool. So it's become a really effective strategy for relevance for Coach in terms of the vintage pieces. And then it's, again, not just the 1970s ones. It's the 1998. Like Britney Spears was caught wearing the Coach bag at the Pap, like those kinds of things. Shall we talk timing?
Timing. Summer.
Absolutely summer.
Summer because of the movie blockbuster season. But we said like July and December, the big moments of what is it, the lows of the summer and
like the
December.
polar ends of
of each other.
Words.
The holidays of December for sure. And I think people just will need ideas for gifting.
Absolutely. I think this is, even think about, are you a brand that has a warehouse full of excess stock from the last 5 years that you have absolutely no idea what to do with? Are you a brand that takes a long time to get inventory in-house and so you have things left over? Think about this from your supply chain, from what you are stocking in your stores. I would love nothing more than, I didn't put this on my bingo card, but I'm putting it on my bingo card in real time, that a beauty retailer should have a secondhand clothing store in the corner of the beauty retailer store. Could you imagine if you went in and bought like a hand-selected by Chappell Roan at Goodwill vest from 1997 and you got it to pair with your glitter eyeshadow? I would lose my mind.
That's a whole look. That's a whole vibe.
I'm telling you guys, give us a call. I'm ready. Bingo card.
Okay. A movie will release. Oh, my bingo card slide.
Yes, we need
it doesn't
bingo
count
card.
if it's not on the screen.
Exactly.
A movie will release directly through Blockbuster.
Can this please happen? Just Blockbuster, someone, you worked there, you work somewhere else now, go back, buy it, do it, please.
Thank you.
I'm going to say, and this is a prediction that is near and dear to my heart, General Motors is going to re-release the Geo Tracker car with a tape deck and a CD player.
Well,
Four-door.
and like manual.
Yeah, and I'm talking 4-door, hard top, like the real one. That is just like, don't get into a wreck on a highway. You're not going to do well. But it's the coolest car ever. They wouldn't be able to keep it in stock.
It's like apocalypse proof.
Yeah, you know.
But all right, Kodak opens a division dedicated to what happens in front of the camera. So like a studio.
Yes, it's not about selling the camera.
No,
it is about selling the moments.
Oh,
that would be such a good, like, Kodak just becomes a publisher, right?
Yeah.
And you're just telling stories.
It's about the memories.
Yeah. So like Samsung, Sony, thinking about if you sell entertainment and equipment and technology, this is very much a space that you can play in. I'd say Sony has so much IP that they get to play with for this. Okay. Drum roll, please. Everybody, we will need you to put on your 10 caps now. 10 cap on. Woo. Everybody got them on?
We're going down a rabbit hole.
We're going down a rabbit
hole.
Okay.
My bad.
So rattle it off.
Drones, aliens, Costco guys.
All equally unlikely, but also present in 2025.
For the lore. All right. So yes, for the lore.
Man,
internet slang.
The background of this is just absolute perfection. Sorry.
I feel like everyone gets what this is, right? Because if you've been on the internet for the past year, you've probably have been sucked into some sort of storyline, background, a POV above POV to figure out the truth of something. So interestingly enough, lore, the word lore, increased in terms of searches by 80% in the last 4 years. I do attribute that to obviously Reddit, to TikTok, but thank you to the gaming and fantasy book communities for giving us that word, because that is where lore comes from, right? But as trends accelerate, if you know, you know, viral videos are not just about one video. You see a video, it's the beginning of a story, and you don't know if you're in the beginning, the middle, the end, the prequel, the sequel, the appendix.
I mean, Risa Tisa broke my brain.
Part 1, part 2,
Part 50.
part 50. And you have to be up to date and up to speed on the drama, the happenings, etc. And there are characters, not just one character. It's not about a core. There are cameos. There's a multiverse
Okay,
of
I'm
things. So if you think about for the lore, it's about a storytelling mechanism. This is for all the writers,
in.
copywriters, screenwriters.
Like everybody in the world that is like, oh, like marketing on the internet is so flattened now. It's just like 5-second videos. It is that, but it's also like starting a story, building a story, get the alt shots, get the alternative views, go and interview 5 people on the street who just saw you do the thing that you do and really build the world around it. World building is a huge thing, by the way. We have other macro trends that, you know, we'll put on the social channels that are about world building. But for this one, it really is about like, how do you know how to speak the language of the internet? We have intentionally not, what is the brand that everybody was talking about? Unhinged. Nutter Butter.
Nutter Butter.
They created their own special world. This is definitely like, you know, they created their own lore. There's creating your own lore like Nutter Butter, but there's also just participating in the juicy, delicious, enjoyable storylines of the internet.
Yeah. So I think in the examples that we break down, it's like thinking about the elements of lore that you can kind of like cherry pick to see how you can jump in, right? There's a lot of things that you can react to. You're a brand, you're like, oh, let me just jump in on that, right? Yeah. Recent example, Red Note. Duolingo hopped in. Oh, now you want to learn Mandarin, right? Reactive part of it, you understand what's happening in the lore that is the TikTok ban. But there are other instances where you have your brand IP. You can do a brand building thing that exists, right? You can go into your archive, go into your brand nostalgia, and for any brand that has a mascot, you can build characters, right? You have a brand portfolio. You can build mascots who can talk to each other. You have products and you can make it into an animated thing. So there's a lot of things, but I think there's things about the B-roll.
Yep.
How you shoot things. We can take a look at the elements of it. All right.
Oh my God, the Enron egg.
The Enron egg. No one knows if this is
bigger than my head.
No one knows if this is real or not, but it's a hoax, by the way. It started off on
It's
X.
lore, Jaimee.
It's lore. Just think of it as like it's a group project, right? As I said, there's a story that you get, and there's viewers, right? It's a group project. There's web sleuthing. You have to sift and sort through the info. Who does this really well in terms of Easter eggs, right? I like that they used a big egg because the whole idea is Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift drops Easter eggs. Beyonce drops Easter eggs. Kendrick Lamar drops Easter eggs. Everyone drops Easter eggs. Marvel drops Easter eggs. You drop your little eggs for people to sift and sort and collect so that they understand the stuff, and it's a whole project. So that's like, it's a participatory thing. People need to put it together. So give them the things. So just think about it as like a big board in terms of storytelling.
Avery's saying it's real. Believe it. Believe it.
I think she went down a rabbit hole. All right. In terms of Dunkin' Donut, the way that they did it was they had a product shot, right? This little the chocolate donut hole that they put on.
And then it's just icing, right? The legs are just
and
icing.
They just put a picture on their Instagram. And they created this campaign around this little donut. They could have, for Halloween, right? All right, they're brief. LTO, Halloween donut. Let's just create a bunch of promos. Happy Halloween, blah, 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 blah. they're like, you know what? The internet really loves to create stories around something. Let's see if they
That middle one is
we
just killing me.
if they can like love him, you know, let's drop clues, right? They did. They dropped a bunch of little things. They're like, oh my God, we really love this spider guy. Save him. Who is he? And it became a character that everyone rallied rallied for. They're like, we must save him.
Yes. And I love that it was
so
like,
cute.
do you think they had this idea before all the comments started rolling in, or they like went with it?
I think they started with a beginning of idea and they went with it.
Okay.
But I want to say that they went with it.
Yeah. I love it. And it's a good reminder that if you are playing with lore, if you're playing with internet lore, if you're going down the hole, you have to create a model for agility, right? You have to make sure that you know what formats and features that you need to have on your radar. Like I'm seeing you've got some like carousel swipes going on. You've got like your meme sort of merch inset. You've got your like close up of the donut shot, which is like pure creative performance excellence going on. And when you're ready with those tools, when you're ready by knowing the platform formats, the algorithm, how it works, then you can actually have way more time and flexibility to make more creative assets for social against the comments.
Totally.
That's really cool.
And I think, yeah, what you said, the format is very memey.
Mm-hmm.
And they just doubled down on that. Spidey D, we love you. All right, B-roll is the A-roll. So when we think about not just the story, think about how you shoot things. Everything is content, is how we think about things. You have a camera on your phone. And I think that's how I think about things now. And that's how we think about it even at Vayner, the way that we capture things. So there's different angles when you think about it. When you look at, I'm going to have to change the way I say this. When you look at TikTok, when you look at Instagram Reels, when you look at YouTube Shorts, TikTok Reel or TikTok, you've seen a lot of creators do this where they're just like working and it's text on image and they're like la 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 la. That's B-roll. You know, they are capturing easy footage, the scene behind the scene. It is easy content to capture. Now, beyond that, you have the POV, right? POV of different angles. It's not necessarily about traditional shots anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We want the BTS of the BTS, your POV, my POV of one POV.
And Diesel like always nails it.
Oh yeah.
Like, in terms of a couple of years ago they had a campaign called like Go with the Flaw, and it was about, you know, the close-up shots of the models had just like messed up teeth and like skin conditions and like all of the things that you would exclude out of a fashion campaign. And so they kind of built up this reputation for subverting the expectation of luxury and fashion and stuff like that. And then for this one, the voyeuristic live stream, this was like, think of it as security camera footage in the corner, right as they were going out for the runway, right? That's where
they put everyone zoomed in, yeah.
And okay, and then it was a live stream for 24 hours online. You could see what was going on at Fashion Week. So insane.
Yeah.
So insane.
And yeah, even the Ring camera did a whole campaign where they took Ring footage with obviously consent of all people's footage to just put it together.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different versions of camera angles that you can think of when we think about building the lore.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk timing on this one. And the bingo card, well, now. You got to do it now. It's ready.
Timing is ASAP, like yesterday.
Because, and here's the point. The why we say, because we sat before this and we were like, when should people do this? And for the lore is there. It's not because it's going away. No. It's because there's going to be so much more of it, and it's going to get so saturated that if you want to stand out, you want to put it, and it takes a little bit of effort to come up with a storyline and do world building. Even the Spidey of the donut was somebody sitting at their desk, you know, all day, every day, looking at the comments and coordinating this operation to put those things out. And that's going to happen way more.
Yeah.
And so we want you to stick out. We want you to be early. We want you to do this when it's
I think
underpriced.
the people who know the lore, right, are going to be the people who are in the communities. PCSs, I know you know the lore. The fact that a couple broke up from The Bachelor recently today, dropped it on the channel. Bunch of comments, right? They were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they broke up." Blah blah blah. Blah. Immediate Reddit response. Can't believe. Is this true? Is this not true? I think this is fake. I think they're engaged. All within 4 minutes.
Wow.
So yes, in pockets of culture, lore is so deep that if you were a brand and understood the context of that breakup, could you jump in a way that understood that?
Yeah.
You're like, breakup package, or even just, Cassie it up.
Yeah. Read the
Oh
feed.
my God.
Oh, by the way, if you are not familiar, we love an acronym at Banner. Cassie, comments as creative. It means even if you don't have time to pick up your phone and shoot something, take a photo, design something, you have an insane ability to be able to reach a ton of audiences very quickly just by being strategic about where you as a brand are commenting, what you are saying, what you are paying attention to, how you show up, and really making sure that you understand the language of things going on. So Cassie, comments as creative. Let's get into the bingo card. 4 minutes left. What's on your bingo card?
Okay. Branded mystery trips that say, do it for the plot.
Ooh, I want to be invited to that. Can someone do that and invite me? Because I will go for the plot.
Yes.
Movie studio A24, known for being a groundbreaker, is going to hire a chief lore officer.
I kind of want that job. Just kidding. I love this one.
Don't leave me. No, but seriously, that would be amazing. Could you just imagine like a room somewhere like in A24's office, and he's like, okay, so here's the Rizzler and the Costco guy.
Ooh.
And the guy's like listening, and they're like, okay, this is going to be the next biopic.
Yeah. Building off that, major movie gets made out of TikTok lore.
Ooh, I love this.
Wins best screenplay, aka best social adaptation.
Best social media adaptation. I think that's amazing. And then I'm going to go with a really dramatic one. Branded body cams on influencers.
Yeah, it's POV.
It's, just put it on your lapel and walk around, profit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. By the way, these were 4 of our favorite trends, but if you are a Vayner client, we have 33 of these that we can talk about. We're definitely going to share some of these out. But I also am very curious on what is on your bingo card. What are you interested in? What are you confused by? This is an open forum, just like we said. Social is a two-way street. I'm looking at the comments. Rafi, what? Hi. Hey, I'm looking at these. Anyway, there are any comments in the chat that we want to pull up or talk about? I think I saw a lot of conversation about knowing are you on the pulse or not, and is your brand cool enough or not? The answer is yes, you can. Let me see. Influencers are gifting Meta Ray-Bans. Yes, that's actually my prediction, I guess. People kind of know. Turn the record on. Anyway, if there are no questions, we want to thank you so much for spending an hour of your time in the middle of the day with us.
Thank you so much.
And we are ready to talk about what's on your bingo card.
This was so fun.
They
They gave us a microphone.
I can't believe it.
Oh my God.
I loved it. Thank you so much, and we will see you on social.
Bye-bye.